Hello students, this is the video number 32, chapter 5, Upthrust in Fluids, Archimedes Principle and Flotation, part C. In this we will discuss only flotation, 9th standard physics. So we'll start from the topic principle of flotation. When a body is immersed in a liquid, then two forces act on it. Two forces acts on the body when it is immersed inside the liquid. First one is weight of body, which acts downwards at center of gravity, at the center of gravity G. Second is upthrust force or buoyant force. Buoyant or upthrust, one of the same thing. Acts at center of buoyancy. So center of buoyancy is center of gravity of displaced fluid. Okay. So it is acting at the center of buoyancy in upward direction. So two forces are acting. One is weight of the body, second is buoyant force. Here buoyant force is equal to V rho G, that we have discussed in part B, where V is the volume of the submerged part of body, rho is the density of liquid, and G is the gravity. Now three cases can be there according to the weight and upthrust comparison. So in book they have given these all three cases separately with the separate diagram. So I have combined all the three cases. It will be easy for you to understand. First part is, now we'll take one block whose weight is greater than buoyant force when it is completely immersed in water. So that particular block will sink and it will remain over here at the bottom. Second is, when the weight of the block is just equal to the buoyant force, in that case the block will completely immerse and will just able to get the sufficient upthrust which is equal to the weight of the body, and this is the just flotation case. Third is, when the weight is less than the buoyant force, then you can say buoyant force is greater than the weight and extra upthrust will send the block outward, and only that much portion will remain inside the water, which is enough to balance the weight of the body, right? So these two cases are for the flotation, and this is for when the body's weight is greater than the upthrust and the body will sink. Now weight of body is equal to weight of liquid displaced by the submerged part of the body. So I can write W is equal to buoyant force, because this weight of the liquid displaced by the submerged part of the body is also equal to the upthrust force, buoyant force. So what will be the apparent weight? Is equal to W minus FB. So in this above case it will be 0 because both are equal. So you can simply say, now this is the law of flotation or principle of, this is the principle of flotation, in which apparent weight is 0. So the weight of floating body, this one, the weight of floating body is equal to the weight of liquid displaced by the submerged part. So in that case, apparent weight, if you rearrange W minus FB or FB minus W, that will be 0. Okay, apparent weight, so we will do W minus FB. Now, relation between volume of submerged part of a floating body and the densities of liquid and the body. In this case, let the body be floating with its volume V immersed inside the liquid of density rho L. So weight of body let it be W, that is equal to volume into density into gravity, where V is the capital V is the volume of body, rho is the density of body, and G is the gravity. Now weight of body, when it will balance by upthrust, then only it will float. So upthrust is equal to small v into rho of liquid, then gravity, where small v is equal to volume of liquid displaced into rho of liquid, that is the density of liquid, into G gravity. So for the flotation case, according to principle of flotation, W is equal to FB, V rho into G, that is equal to small v density of liquid into gravity. If you will rearrange, you will get that small v divided by capital V is equal to density of solid over density of liquid. Okay, so this was the required expression, where small v is the volume of immersed part of the body, this V is the total volume of body, rho s is the density of body, that solid one, and rho L is the density of the liquid. Now there are certain inferences. Number one, a floating body of higher density has its more volume submerged because it has to go more deeper inside the liquid to get sufficient upthrust to float itself. Second is, body floats in liquid of different density only and only when the density of the body is less than or equal to the density of liquid. Then only it can get sufficient upthrust to balance the weight to float. Then applications of the principle of flotation. Now first one is flotation of iron ship. This is very interesting, this application. As you know, iron nail and ship both are made up of iron, but iron nail will sink and ship can easily float. Why it happens? Because of the average density of the ship is less than the density of the water. Overall, the volume of the ship is made hollow from the down part of the ship, and which can provide average density to ship which is less than the density of the water, so easily that ship will get sufficient upthrust to balance the weight of itself to float. Second is the loaded ship is submerged more. Why? As comparison to unloaded ship, that is also possible only because in loaded ship the weight is more. If the weight is more, then that loaded ship has to go more deeper inside the water to get sufficient upthrust to float, as comparison to unloaded ship which go less deeper. Then a ship begins to submerge more as it sails from sea water to river water. So this paragraph is based on the density of the liquid. As you know, sea water contains salt, so density of the sea water is more than the density of the river water. So in case of sea water, more upthrust that ship will get as comparison to the river water. After that, plimsoll lines. Each ship has a white line painted on its side known as the plimsoll line. Now this indicates the safe limit for loading the ship. If the plimsoll lines are visible, it means you can load that ship more. But if the plimsoll line is just touching the water, it means now it is a kind of indication that no more load should be loaded to the ship. And if it is not visible, then it means it is overloaded and you must take out some load from the ship. An unloaded ship is filled with sand at its bottom. Why it is like that? Just to bring the center of gravity down, or you can say in ballast, if the load we will shift or we will fill the ship with the sand or stones in its ballast tank. So what will happen? The center of gravity will come down and the ship will be in equilibrium state or stable equilibrium and can easily float. Then flotation of human body. This you know very well, like good swimmers can float without putting much effort, and the average density of the body with empty lung is 1.07, while with the lungs filled with air, that is 1 gram per centimeter cube. When you fill the air in your lungs, the density of the human body is almost equal to the density of the water, and in that case the body will just float, or you can say good swimmer can easily float. It is easier for a man to swim in sea water than in fresh water. Why it is like that? Because in sea water the density is more as comparison to fresh or river water. The swimmer has to put very less effort, and even in Dead Sea, without any effort, you can even lie down on the surface of the water. You can enjoy the reading of any novel or physics book. Okay, so that is possible because Dead Sea has more this salt content and will provide maximum upthrust, which is enough to balance the weight of a person. Flotation of submarines. If you will observe the diagram of the submarine, there are ballast tank here also and at the back also. So submarines are the they can be made to dive into water or rise up to the surface of the water as according to our requirement. When we want to bring them down, we will allow water to enter in this ballast tank, so its overall weight will increase. So this submarine will start moving down. Okay, and when we want to bring it up, so with the this some pumps are there, pressure pumps are there. So with that pressure will allow the water which is initially filled in the ballast tank to go out with the pressure, and overall the density, average density of the submarine will become less as comparison to the density of the sea water. So it will start coming up due to maximum upthrust. After that, flotation of the iceberg, the density of the ice is less than the density of the water, that is merely 0.917 gram per centimeter cube, as comparison to the density of the water, that is 1 gram per centimeter cube. So huge masses of the ice known as the icebergs, they are able to float, and if we will apply the principle, that is small v over capital V is equal to density of ice over density of water, we will find that now this more volume of the ice has to be inside the water, and only less portion will remain outside the water. See, this will be the case, only less portion we are able to see. And the tragedy for the sinking of the Titanic ship was also this, based on this fact that the captain of the ship was underestimating the size of the iceberg. He was only able to see the outer part and just underestimate the strength of the iceberg, and decided to not to change the direction of the sailing of the ship. So when it will strike with the iceberg, as you know, the size of the iceberg is more inside the water, and when it will finally strike with the body of the ship, so it ruptured the body of the ship, and water will start entering inside the Titanic ship, which is a unsinkable ship, but history was like that. The ship drowned, and so many casualties were happened. Second is this iceberg whose density is 0.917 floats on sea water whose density is very large, that is 1.026, with volume, this much volume will remain inside, that is 89.3% of its total volume will submerged, and approximately 10.7 or 11% will remain outside. So icebergs are dangerous for ships. This is the explanation of this above, which we have discussed already. No change in level of water on melting a floating piece of ice. This is also interesting one. Summer days are going on, so when you will put an ice cube, already ice cube has certain volume, so the level of the water will rise, but when it will melt, you will not find any change in the volume. Why? Because it has already covered same volume, and on melting also the volume will remain same. So flotation of fish. Many species of fish have an organ called swim bladder. It acts like the ballast, as we have discussed for the case of ship and submarines. So for flotation, it will help the for this fish species. When a fish has to rise up in water, it diffuses gas from its fluid in the form of fluid into the bladder, so its volume increases. If its volume increases, so overall average density will decrease, and this increases the volume of the water displaced by the fish to get sufficient upthrust, and fish will easily rise up. And when the fish has to go down, it empties its bladder to the required extent. So that control is there in their own body, so its volume will decrease and density will increase, and the body of the fish will go down. Okay. Rising of balloons. When a light gas like hydrogen or helium of density, which is lighter gas and having less density than that of the air, so is filled in balloon, the weight of the air displaced by the inflated balloon, so the upthrust will be sufficient, or you can say its maximum upthrust will send the balloon body upward, and balloon will start rising up, but it will not attain maximum height or indefinite height. it will start floating after covering a certain height. Why it happens? Because at that case, when it will start floating in atmosphere, at that point or at that stage, the weight of the body of the balloon is just equal to the upthrust provided by the weight of the air displaced by the balloon body. So it stops rising further. Okay, so this is all based on the flotation. Read the content properly and you can watch video simultaneously. Okay, and try to get more deeper in the concept and avoid the misconcept regarding the flotation. Body will float only when it will get sufficient upthrust. When maximum upthrust as compared to the weight of the body will be gained by the body, then body will float with some of the part will remain outside and only that much part will submerge which is able to get sufficient upthrust to float. Okay, thank you very much. With this your chapter is over and the full syllabus is over. You can ask your doubt in doubt classes. You're most welcome. Practice the numericals, apply the concept and do well. All the best for your first terms also.